How many of you love field trips? Raise your hand if you love to go on field trips. I know when I was younger, I loved field trips so much. For those of you not raising your hand, that's because you're boring. Because field trips are awesome, and I got a little special treat for you guys today. We're actually gonna go on a little field trip. But until we get there, we're gonna watch this week's episode of Witness, Rise of the Way.
In the near future, freedom is on the decline. The New World Army has taken over the world. But all is not lost. A young group of radical revolutionaries brings hope to turn the tide of darkness. Some may call them the Church, but they call themselves the Way.
Hey, Foster.
Hey, Rhodes, I got your note, and wow, so this is where we're meeting now.
Yeah, I just use it for storage, but thought I might use it for a better reason.
Storing us? Just kidding. So, did you hear that, what is that? Is that, where did you get this?
It's my grandmother's. It's her Bible. Found it in an attic.
A Bible. I didn't even know these still existed. I thought they'd be all gone, but wow. I like the vintage look too.
You can read it.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Bible. It's meant to be read.
Speaking of red, what's with all these red letters?
Well, the writers wanted to make sure the words of Jesus stood out.
Mia, we have a knock. Use the... I'm sorry.
Mia, what's wrong?
They took Gabby,
Who took Gabby?
the New World Army.
What? Why? Why would they take Gabby? She doesn't do anything. She just minds her own business.
She was praying in school.
What? Are you serious? That's insane.
I know. What kind of world are we living in where they can just take people away?
Everybody, calm down. I had a feeling this would happen.
What? How could you have possibly known that this was gonna happen?
Because it's happened before.
What do you mean?
After Jesus went to heaven, the leaders of the day went after his followers. They were trying to prevent the message from spreading.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't like where that's going. I don't.
Well, as the early church was being formed, it was still a very difficult time. But God was still faithful. Nothing could stop the word of Jesus from being spread around the world. Nothing.
Please prepare for a mandatory message from the New World Army.
This is Lieutenant Gage, Section Chief for the New World Army. I have important information for all citizens. In the interest of public safety and harmony, effective immediately, all churches are closed to the public. Because of the danger they represent, anyone attempting to enter into a church building, possessing a religious book or artifact, or displaying any other Christian symbol will be immediately detained for questioning. If you suspect anyone of religious behavior, please report them to your local section leader. The New World Army thanks you for your cooperation.
Everything is okay. We don't need to freak out.
How exactly do I not freak out? They just closed down the church.
They closed down a building. A building is not a church. We are the church.
No, we're not. We don't have music or pastors or people. It's only us.
We have God. That is all we need. God said that when 2 or more people gather in his name, then he is with us. That is what makes a church.
Okay. How are we supposed to know what to do?
Well, fortunately, God left a blueprint.
You care to share what that is?
Well, we have to follow the examples of the early church.
But They were like apostles, extraordinary people. They did miracles and traveled all over the world. They aren't like us.
They were exactly like us. It was God that made them extraordinary. One of the leaders of the early church was a man named Peter. And Peter followed Jesus. He walked with him, he learned from him. And when Jesus went to heaven, Peter became one of the first leaders of the early church.
And he was a fisherman?
He was a fisherman. Jesus gave him a new mission.
And what was that?
The same one that you and I have, and you and I have.
I know. To tell people about Jesus, to tell them what he did for us and why he did what he did.
Exactly, Mia. Jesus is our foundation, and we meet on that foundation. That's what forms a church.
What about school? And stuff? It's not safe anymore.
We have to continue to live our lives. Don't be afraid. Remember, God is bigger than anything the enemy can throw at us. But we have to meet here. We have to build each other up, encourage each other, because it's gonna get really heavy outside and we're gonna need a safe place.
What if they find us?
Then we move. The church can be anywhere. There was a time when Peter was arrested. And when he was in prison, that is when the church acted. That's when they came together.
I remember something about that. They were like praying in houses.
Exactly. And that's where they used to meet, in people's houses. Now, when they learned that Peter was arrested, they immediately got together and started praying for him. And when God saved Peter, that house is the first place that he went.
And that's what we have here.
Right. It's what we have anywhere.
Wait. Where you can't leave.
I have to let people know that the church is still here, that there's a place they can go to.
And what if they catch you?
Then it's up to you guys.
What?
When you meet a fellow believer, draw this symbol. They'll complete it like this. That identifies us with the church. That's how we know it's safe to communicate. Use this symbol as one of hope. Let people know that there's light in the darkness, that there is the way.
Be careful.
What are we supposed to do now?
I guess we start studying this blueprint.
Please prepare for a mandatory message from the New World Army.
Good evening, citizens. The New World Army has identified a rebel leader stirring up unrest within our city. This man is a threat to the public and must be apprehended. Tonight, I'm placing a warrant out for the arrest of Arthur Rhodes, a local mechanic at Car Shack on the south side of the city. If you know of his whereabouts, please report to your local section leader. The New World Army thanks you for your cooperation.
All right, here we are, guys. We've arrived at our field trip location. I actually took you guys to one of our construction sites where they're building one of our campuses right now. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this in a little bit. But as we saw today, the New World Army was going after Christians and shutting down churches. This left the group feeling really scared and worried for their lives. And so they start to have this conversation about what the church really is, what it's really all about. And Rhodes says something really interesting here. He says that the church isn't a building, they are the church. It's a group of people coming together that makes up the church. If I asked you guys how you would describe the church, or how you would describe church, what would you say? Would you maybe say it's a place that you go to on Sundays? A place that you go to worship God? A place that you go to learn about who Jesus is? How would you describe church? The reason why I took you guys to this construction site is because I wanted to make a point. How many of you guys knew that we actually had multiple campuses in multiple states all across the United States? How many of you guys knew that? Well, that's the reality. This is a construction site, and what's interesting is we don't actually call these churches. We're not building a church right now. What we're doing is we're building a campus. You see, what we see right here is nothing more than steel and brick and concrete going up. But when people come together, when this thing is done being built, and they meet together to grow in each other's faith, that's when it becomes the church. You see, this is just a building. It's the people who come together to worship God and learn about Him. That's what the church is. That's what the church is all about. Look at what it says in the Bible. In Ephesians 2:20 through 22, it says this: "Together we are His house, built on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets. And the cornerstone is Christ Jesus Himself. We are carefully joined together in Him, becoming a holy temple for the Lord. Through Him, you Gentiles are also being made part of this dwelling, where God lives by His Spirit." You see what this verse is talking about? Is that together, we are His house. We are His church, with Jesus Christ as the center. You see, church is not a building or a ministry or a program. The church is you. The church is all of you coming together with Jesus Christ as the center. Where you're at right now, where you're sitting, it isn't the church. It is a church building. But you coming together, you are the church. I want you to get that. I want you to understand that. You coming together, you make up the church, so be the church. And this church is all about Jesus Christ.